Hey gang, Dirty Rob from the West Michigan Trail Runners and the Gazelle Sports Dirty here with this week's review of the Saucony Xodus 6. Look at that tank. Ooh. Yeah, durable, hardy. Saucony's own words, this is an ATV for the trails, and it really is. If you've been a Saucony wearer in the past, or Saucony Xodus wearer in the past, you know what the shoe's capable of, and I can tell you that version 6 is going to be sweet. You're going to love it if you don't already own it. I know it's been on the market for a little while, but this is a new colorway for the Gore-Tex version. Gore-Tex in the shoe. So I thought we'd talk about it real quick as a reminder, because there's not going to be a new version coming out anytime soon. So let's look at the version 6 of the Xodus for those of you who haven't tried it in the past, and we'll talk about the big change in this version from version 5. So real quick, nice padded tongue. Again, they're not worrying about weight with the shoe. They want comfort. So a nice padded tongue, central guidance lace or loop there, which I love to death. A little unnecessary in this shoe because it has a really big tall gusset that runs almost all the way to the full length of the eyelet, but that's because that's where the Gore-Tex booty will run up to. We'll get into that in a second. Pro lock lacing system around the midfoot, so you get a dialed in fit. Nice heel counter, so it's nice and stable, not gonna let you go anywhere. Toe box has flex foam over it, so you get a little bit of freedom of movement there. And it's actually a really comfortable toe box. This is the big difference in this version to the last version. I felt like this toe box was way wider than version 5, way more comfortable. Not as wide as the Peregrine 6, not as wide as anything from Ultra, but way more comfortable than the earlier versions of the Xodus. As far as stitching and overlays go, you've got a nice big toe ring and a heel counter, plus this kind of sidewall thing. It's like a synthetic material that runs both sides. This just adds some durability. Again, they're not concerned with weight. They want protection, they want durability, and they get it. So you get these nice high sidewalls in case any sticks or rocks aren't going to get up into the more tear potential area in the upper. In the midsole, you've got power grid in the heel and an EBO rock plate to the midfoot and forefoot, so you get a ton of durability, ton of firmness. You lose a lot of proprioception because of all that, and you lose a lot of flexibility here. This is a really stiff forefoot, but again, you're not buying this as a racing flat, or most people aren't at least. You saw the shield when I flipped it over. Vibram XS Trek outsole, lugs about a 1/4 inch, 5-6 millimeters depending on where you are. Big, huge, nasty teeth. They're fantastic. You can almost get away with those in most conditions without any additional traction. Ice obviously would need some. Quick note, if you do go with ice spikes or sheet metal screws, be aware that the curvature here of the outsole on both sides is ramped out a little bit. So if you do throw a sheet metal screw in there, it's not going to aim straight off the bottom of the shoe. It's going to be angled out if you put them around the perimeter. You'll need to use the lugs in the center of the shoe for that. So footbed and everything else, other specs of the shoe are basically the same. Still a 4 millimeter drop, 19.5 there, 23.5 there. Weight wise, it's significant. Peregrine, just for reference, is 9.5 listed. The non-Gore-Tex version of the shoe is listed at 11.5. The Gore-Tex version is listed at 12.5. That's probably a size 9. This size 14 in my hand, well over 14 ounces. It is a tank, and it kind of feels like it. If the Peregrine is kind of a nice wrap to your foot and feels a little faster and feels a little quicker, this shoe feels a little more boot-like, but that's what they're after. That's what they want. It's going to give you way more durability and way more miles. I've never had a pair of Peregrines go more than 400 miles. I still have a pair of this shoe in version 4 sitting in my garage that does my trail work shoe now. That still does the job, and I could still run it if I want to. It's a lot of shoe. So, last thing, let's talk about the Gore-Tex real quick. Gore-Tex are not two takeaways if you've never tried a Gore-Tex shoe or you're considering it. One, obviously Gore-Tex is waterproof, windproof, so it's very warm. But when a company adds a Gore-Tex liner to a shoe, they don't remove anything. So the shoe, the whole thing gets a little more fitted, and obviously it gets a little heavier. The big con to that is if any kind of water gets into the shoe, it's not coming out. Just like sweat can't come out of the shoe, and heat and wind's not getting in the shoe, water's not getting in the shoe, nothing's getting out. So to get anything out of the shoe, you have to take it off and dump it. It's a great debate. You can find all sorts of blogs online that talk about whether you should or shouldn't get a Gore-Tex trail shoe. I personally am not a fan of them because sometimes you end up getting a lot of water in a shoe and you want the shoe to drain out. Where a nice pair of wool socks will keep your foot warm and keep you comfortable, and the Gore-Tex isn't going to help that out at all. So, last thing, my grading, I guess we'll call it. Sadly, the Xodus does not earn the esteemed position in the trunk of my car, but it's a little too train specific for me. Here in Southwest Michigan, we just don't have the need for this shoe day in and day out. It's too much shoe. At over 14 ounces, I love my trail shoes, my day-to-day shoes to be at least under 12, closer to 10. Rarely do they go under 10 on my size 14. This is just way too much shoe. That being said, I've always had a pair of Xodus in my rotation somewhere, easily accessible, because there are days where we need it. Just, you need a shoe like this every once in a while. And this is probably the best of the bunch at it. It is probably a lightweight, super lightweight hiker with great traction. It's hard to find better traction than what you see on the bottom of the shoe. So Saucony, well done, great shoe. Love the new toe box, love the new fit. It's greatly appreciated. All these Xodus wearers out there, I think you're gonna love the new shoe if you haven't already tried it on. It's a great improvement and way more comfortable. So that's it for the day, gang. I appreciate your time, appreciate any comments you might have. I'll try to get to them as quickly as I can. Until then, I'm Dirty Rob, and I'll see you out on the trails. See ya.